this is Kirk Hilliard.
And it's Rusty Bird. It's the Kirk and Bird Show. We're back with our weekly picks. And I know you guys are going to be surprised when you hear our records overall, because the person you probably assume has the best record doesn't. But we are blessed to have with us today some of our normal crew, but we've got someone else that we are so happy to finally get on the show. We've got with us Monet Anderson, also known as Lady Broadcaster. Welcome to the show, Monet.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here, and I hope I picked correctly.
You will probably beat me, okay? But thank you for joining the show. I'll let people know right now, right up front, where they can find you. You're on social media. You're all over the place. You're on Gram. You got Twitter, under Lady Broadcaster. Any other places they can find you?
That's it. I'm on Snapchat, but I'm not on Snapchat. Like, I'm there, but I'm not there. TikTok, I'm there, but I'm not there.
We got Jay Golson, the proprietor and the starter of the real Prince William County Sports. He's also, and I'm sure he'll let us know about what happened this past week, but he's the voice of Freedom football and basketball. And he also sponsors and gives out the Kirk and Bird Remax Jay Golson Player of the Week. And he'll be doing that a little bit later. And then we're pleased to have back with us Jason Sterling, probably without a doubt, one of the most knowledgeable ones who's on this panel. You know, whether it's this year, last year, it's like, yo, he knows so much. Like, I actually take his words, and then when other people ask me stuff, I go, no, I know this is what's going to happen, right? But welcome to the show, Jason. Thank you.
Thank you, man. With Monet here, though, I'm no longer the best looking person. So,
well, you know.
Oh, well, thank you.
All right. So look, let's go ahead on, and we're going to go ahead. Kirk, why don't you go over our picks from last week and kind of tell folks how we did?
Sure. Yeah. Make sure that you subscribe on YouTube and follow us on at Twitter, and you can find us on all the other platforms, the Kirk and Bird Show. So last week was an interesting week. I will make one point. Jay was perfect. So Jay picked all 10 games right. So that was interesting. And was some upsets and then a lot of lightning. We could talk about that. But the first game that we talked about was a game that was affected by weather, and that's Kings Fork, Western Branch. And that one, Kings Fork, 26-0. They called the game in the third quarter, and they declared Kings Fork the winner. So Jay Golson, Jason Sterling, you picked that correctly. And then Rusty and I picked it incorrectly. I would say that the person closest to the score was Jay Golson. And then second game was a game that 4 of the 5 of us were at, and that was DeMatha at Freedom. And super delays. Jay was the public announcer, and that was postponed on Friday night, and then you guys were there on Saturday. Was it 50 seconds left, and they called it because of lightning?
52 seconds.
Okay. And it was 21-14. Freedom was up. So from that, I would say that
you're not counting that in the win-loss column.
No, I did not.
Oh, good. Okay.
No, that's a good point, Rusty. Because Rusty picked DeMatha, and all the rest of us picked Freedom because we know the deal. All right, another good game that did not get affected by weather down in the Fredericksburg area was King George and Riverbend. King George, with those great wide receivers, defeated Riverbend 37-13. We all picked that correctly. And then Fairfax and Centerville, game was at Centerville. Great Fairfax team that's rolling. They won 40-14. I would say in Fairfax County, they appear to be the team to beat with James Madison, which will be a future game. Everyone picked that right. And if I look at the scoring differential, I think the closest was actually me. Yeah, so we all picked that one correct. It was a pretty big margin of victory. And then a game that we were just talking about that was tonight Millbrook and Brentsville out in Winchester. Millbrook won that game 24-17 in overtime. And Mr. Jay Golson predicted 24-19. That's pretty darn good, Jay. So we all had it as a pretty close game. So that I would say
I had your back, man. Forget Jay. I thought y'all would. But you'll get him in.
You were close also, Rusty. So probably the premier game in the state was Highland Springs went down to Norfolk. They played the game at Maury. For some reason, I thought it was going to be at ODU. And
it was at ODU because Maury doesn't have a home field, but they played at their smaller little practice field. That is Maury's home
field. Okay, at ODU. All right.
Wow. I didn't know that.
Yeah, that sounds right. So Maury won that game 23-14. And it looks like Rusty and Jason both picked Highland Springs. I would say that coming off of that, Maury beating Highland Springs, Maury is just, man, the odds-on favorite to win Class 5. We'll talk about this game coming up, but they're going to Dinwiddie this weekend. Our next game was probably the best game in Loudoun County, and that was Tuscarora at Loudoun County, where our friend Jeremiah Davis coaches, and his son is on the team. I have 7-0. If you know, I want to say I heard a parent post 9-0, but I have 7-0. And we all picked Tuscarora. Rusty picked Loudoun County 20-17. And probably the closest to the margin was Jason. And then Lake Braddock at Westfield.
They had 9-7-0, but who won?
It was 7-0.
Husky.
Okay.
I had heard that it might have been 9-0. That's why I was asking.
Okay.
Lake Braddock and Westfield, two great Northern Virginia programs, and we all picked Westfield in that one. But it was no. Help me out, guys. Who won that game? I apologize.
Lake Braddock.
Lake Braddock won 9-7. I stopped because I was sure. So Lake Braddock won that week.
Yeah, because they hadn't played well in a couple of games. Yeah.
Right. So that was one that was a big win for Coach Doherty out in Burke. So the next game was another one. It was a great game in Hopewell, and that was Hopewell Lake Taylor. Hopewell defeated Lake Taylor 42-25. One of their players let me know that they saw our picks, and Mr. Jay Golson did pick Hopewell to win. The rest of us picked Lake Taylor. And then lastly, another great game down in southwestern Virginia was Christiansburg. William Byrd went down to Christiansburg, and Christiansburg pulled it out 14-10. And everyone got that right with the exception of Mr. Byrd.
Wow.
So that's week 3. So
man, I went 4-6. Jeez.
Yeah.
You're too emotional. That's your problem. You're too emotional.
Yeah, I know. I'm going with schools named after me with Bird in the name.
And fraternity brothers.
And fraternity brothers or anybody that I coached. Gosh.
Yeah.
Wow.
Use your head, Rusty. Use your head, man.
Picking with your heart. So this week, let's hope the thunderstorms are over. I do know some games start on Thursday this week. There's some on Thursday in Loudoun County, I believe. Broad Run and Stonebridge plays, but we've got a nice slate of games. As always, we tried to pick games from around the state. Rusty had a great idea. We're going to have a private school game every week, and we'll talk about that. But Rusty, you ready to get started with Jay Golson talking about Colonial Forge at Patriot?
Yeah, let's go.
Okay. Give us an overview, Jay Golson.
Colonial Forge, 3-0, Patriot, 1-1. Now, Forge, like I said, they have my coach as a D coordinator and Bill Brown. And they've won 3 games this year, but no one they've beaten had a winning record. Patriot beat a bad Freedom South Riding team last Saturday. Games at Patriot, but I'm going with Colonial Forge. I hate to say it. I'm going to say it's going to be like 30 to 14, Colonial Forge.
All right. Monet, lady broadcaster, Anderson.
Wow. This Forge Patriot.
Yeah,
Jay, you said 30-14. Jeez. Forge, right?
because of Westfield at Patriot 2 weeks ago. That's why I see a repeat and what happened.
Right.
Yeah.
He lives in Fairfax County now too, so he doesn't have to worry about Prince William.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm gonna go 28-7 Forge.
Oh, okay.
Okay. 27 for Jason.
Yeah, I'm still struggling with Patriots loss by 28 to Westfield in that first week. That just sort of set me back, guys. Forge is averaging 44 points a game. I know the schedule hasn't been super brutal yet. I like Forge in this one. I think it could be sort of close for a while, but I've got Forge pulling this one out 30-19.
Okay. All right.
Oh, and for me, I'm going Prince William County.
Emotional.
Look, I go with my heart, dog. Let's go Patriot. 30-17 Patriot. They're going to get back on track.
Okay. Great pick. I mean, I've got Colonial Forge winning 17-6, but based on what Jay Olson has said about Patriot, I wouldn't be surprised if Patriot pulls that off. But yeah, go Colonial Forge 17-6. And then we've got our first private school game that we're going to go over. Rusty's going to talk about that, and that is Paul VI at St. Michael, the Archangel.
Yeah. So these are two private schools. They play in different conferences. Paul VI is in the WCAC, but they're in the conference. The WCAC is split into two different divisions.
Yeah.
And they play in, I'll say it may be considered a bit weaker in football, but in basketball, it's as strong as the other side when you consider O'Connell and Paul VI and how great those programs are. But in football, it's not quite as powerful as those teams on the other side with DeMatha, Good Counsel, St. John's, Gonzaga. But Paul VI has played decent ball over the last couple of years, and I can say that because my son played for Bishop Ireton 2 years ago, and they beat us. I mean, I don't know if that means much because Bishop Ireton's only won one game in their last 3 years, but of each of those last 3 years. But I will say, Paul VI is at this point is 2-0, and St. Michael's is 1-2. But one of the things I noticed about St. Michael's is they've got a pretty challenging schedule. They played Pilati out of Laurel, Maryland, and they beat them 34-6. But they played DeMatha and lost to them 48-7. And then they're going to be playing Flint Hill, Trinity Episcopal, Friendship Collegiate. So Benedictine from Richmond. They've got a really good schedule for a program that's continuing to grow. And so I think they've got some talent. I've met a few kids from that team. But I think that St. Michael's it does put some focus on football. So I do believe St. Michael's will beat Paul VI 21-14.
All right. Lady Monet Anderson.
Okay. So based on Rusty's synopsis there, which I really liked, if I didn't know anything about football, I would have said, hey, okay, that was great. Now I know a little bit. So now I know a little bit. I am going to go with St. Michael 20, Paul VI 14.
All right. So just so you don't feel betrayed if this goes wrong, I did not pick this with my heart. This was strictly on analysis.
Because you don't have contacts at either school.
Oh, I do.
All right. Jason Surley.
Yeah, listen, if this was January and they were on the hardwood inside, I would definitely be putting my money on Paul VI from a hoop standpoint. But they're on the gridiron. I think St. Michael might be the better team here. I've also got them winning this game, guys. Similar score to what Monet had. I've got St. Michael, the Archangel 20, Paul VI 16.
Okay.
All right.
I'm not sold on Paul VI in football, so I'm going to go St. Michael's 17, Paul VI 0.
All right.
Mm.
Kurt, did you?
I like St. Michael, and I'm like Monet. I'm going to go off of what you said. I like St. Michael 27-10. So, all right. So the next one is Stonebridge at Quince Orchard. Quince is another out-of-state powerhouse for Stonebridge. It's over at Quince Orchard, which is, I believe, in Gaithersburg. Jason, I want to let you go over that. Stonebridge is 0-2, and their game did not happen with Woodgrove. Can you give us an overview of this game facing the powerhouse in Maryland?
Yeah. So, look, Quince Orchard has steamrolled the first two opponents, guys, and they're coming off back-to-back state titles. So they haven't given up a point all year. They've outscored their two opponents 89-0, including South County, who I think a lot of people had as one of the probably top 5 or 6 teams in all of Class 6 in Virginia. So that tells me a lot. They've got Power 5 talent all up and down the field. You look at a position and you're probably going to at least have a guy at the FBS or FCS level, if not Power 5. Stonebridge has yet to win a game. And I was looking at their schedule. Obviously, they've got Our Lady of Good Counsel coming up. Then they have a bye week. So they very well may be looking at October 6th before they possibly get their first win, which I know is just absolutely absurd for Stonebridge. But I think they're better than the record indicates, though. I think we've seen that. Mickey always puts these things together. The team will gel and get better here, but I just don't think they're going to beat Quince Orchard. I've got to be realistic about this one. I've got QO, and this is a Thursday game, guys, Thursday night game. Right. Got QO 35, Stonebridge 21.
Okay.
Okay.
Monet, you know a little bit about this game.
So yeah, QO, I've been following them for probably the last 6, 7, 8 years or so. I really like Coach Kelly. He's a good guy. And he can put that talent together out there in Gaithersburg. He has been unstoppable the past couple of years. I attended the 4A state championship, as I have over the last couple of years. And again, his guys just come out, and they are some talented kids, and he knows how to coach them up. So on the other hand, I really like Coach Thompson out there at Stonebridge. And, I felt kind of, I don't want to say it felt kind of bad, because, you have your kids that leave and you rebuild. But I feel like Coach Thompson has been rebuilding for a couple of years now, trying to get that Stonebridge back to Stonebridge. But this one against QO, I don't think it's going to happen with this game. And I'm going to go QO 48. I do think Stonebridge will get on the board at some point with 12 points.
All right. Let's go, Mr. Jay Golson.
I mean, I like Mickey Thompson. I followed Stonebridge for a lot of years. But if I had to bet Jason's Porsche and Monet's Bentley, I'm going with Quince Orchard 42-21.
You better not lose our cars, man.
All right. Rusty Bird.
All right. Well, look, I'm going to bet my 1981 Datsun B210 with wood grain paneling on the side that I used to rock in high school and then in college for a couple of years. So, Jay, you can have it if I get this wrong. Okay. All right. But no, I look, yes, Mickey, it's been tough for these first 2 games, but I think it's Mickey, it gives them a chance to figure some things out. The good thing about those losses is they don't count. I mean, in terms of their district play and being in the playoffs. Now, when it comes to some PowerPoints later on down the line, they may have to travel, but one place they're not going to travel is Highland Springs. Yep. All right.
Yeah.
so they're not going to Highland Springs, and they wouldn't have to see Maury until the state championship. So I think Mickey's just, what I love about this is Mickey could go into the playoffs at 6-4, and people will think they're just not good. And next thing you know, they are 10-4 in the state championship game. So because it's a tough schedule. Now I don't know. Did anyone say anything about if the Woodgrove game would be replayed? It's canceled.
It doesn't sound like it's going to get made up. So
that's what I think
it's a cancellation, which will just wipe it out completely from the power.
Completely.
So
yeah, and so that actually doesn't really hurt them. If you watch some of our episodes, where we have the professor and Jay Golson talking about PowerPoints, but I think if they could have played Woodgrove, that would have been beneficial to get a win. But all that being said, I believe that Stonebridge will pull this one out. All right.
Oh.
Hey, look, okay, I'm just Mickey, I got your back, but you're going out of state. You're representing VA. You're not going to lose. It took 20 years for you to lose 2 in a row. You're not going to lose 3 in a row. QO, you're in trouble. Watch out.
Okay.
I said they're going to win 42-35. It will be a battle.
Stonebridge going to Gaithersburg, putting 42 on two-time state defending champs. Well, that's bold. All right. So I think for this game, I think that Stonebridge not playing Woodgrove is a big deal. I think they needed that game. That was a good, a get well game. And their kids, they've made a lot of mistakes. They had problems with execution, but they played incredible teams. So to play at Woodgrove, get a win, execute, work on things, get some depth would have been very good. I think Stonebridge will be fine in the long run. I think that they may end up, speaking of a 6-4 record, Rusty, they may end up going to Roanoke to play Patrick Henry. And we're going to talk about them playing William Fleming this weekend, big Roanoke matchup. So, but I don't see it happening this weekend. I think that Coach Thompson, Jason, you may have noticed this in some of those games where he was trailing, he was running that wing T or single wing, very basic running plays. I think he knows a little bit more trying to develop that offensive line. And then I also think that down the line, Miles Turpin's got to touch the ball more. He's the best player that I've seen in Loudoun County, best athlete. But that's all got to develop. This one is going to be Quince Orchard 37. I got Stonebridge scoring a touchdown 7. Don't be surprised if Quince Orchard scores more. All right.
Wow.
Okay.
The next game is we are doing Arlington County, Washington Liberty at Yorktown. I think that's Sandra Bullock versus Katie Couric in schools. Warren Beatty is a Washington Liberty. I mean, those two schools have all the famous alumni, and that's an Arlington County showdown. Both teams are good. They're very solid. And they have players that when they touch the ball are dangerous. I think this is going to be a close one. I am going to pick Yorktown 27-7 over Washington Liberty. So, Monet, what do you think about that battle in Arlington?
Yeah, I think the same. That celebrity status. I love that. And I am going with where's Sandra? She's Yorktown, right?
She's Washington
Liberty.
She was a cheerleader.
That's right. Go, Sandra. I'm going with Washington Liberty 21-17.
Okay. All right. Mr. Sterling.
Yeah, both of these teams have looked pretty good so far this year. I don't think their schedules have been the most robust schedules yet, just looking at it. But Washington Liberty's averaging 48 points a game. A little more modest for Yorktown at 31 points a game. I think it'll be the toughest test for both teams thus far. I like Yorktown. I think they're just a little better. Got a little more talent on the outside with some of their receivers. I'm going Yorktown 27, Washington Liberty 20.
All right.
Okay.
Jay Golson.
I'm going to go with Yorktown 31, Washington Liberty 22.
All right. And Yorktown, I've followed Yorktown for the last couple of years. They usually are they always win Arlington County. Like they beat the other 2 or 3 schools in the county, and then they will make the playoffs and usually good for about a round. Okay. But they consistently beat W&L. So I'm going to pick Yorktown to win this 28-14. But the other really key reason I'm going to select them is, yes, Sandra Bullock. I love doing a lot of stuff, but the tide has turned on the blind side as we find out more information about that family.
That's some good
and
stuff,
how
man.
they didn't adopt him. They did a conservativeship, like the thing with what's her name?
Britney Spears.
Britney Spears.
Yeah.
And so that just doesn't sit right with me now. Sandra, you keep your Academy Award, but something that just doesn't feel right with what that family maybe or maybe not did. So I'm sorry, I cannot pull for WNL because of that.
All right.
Am I the only WNL, Kirk?
You picked up, yeah, you are the only WNL.
All right.
Not you. All right. So another game that is a very good game in more of the eastern part of Fairfax County. And that's South County at Fairfax. We both know a little bit, all of us know a little bit about these teams. Jason, give us an overview, please.
Yeah, Trey Taylor's got a super team, I think, here in Fairfax. We were talking about him before you guys picked it up. Look, they lose Tony Rojas to Penn State, who was one of the best players last year at the linebacker and running back position, and they pick up Georgia commit Chris Jones. So I don't think they really lost anything from that standpoint. They mixed the power running game with a very delicate passing game. I really like what they do offensively. Jerry Pannoni's back as the head coach of South County. He started there when I think went out to New Mexico and now is back coaching these guys. They're really good too. They obviously took that loss to QO earlier in the year, but this game has all the earmarkings to me of a very classic game going down to the wire. I like the home field advantage here for Fairfax. I think that will give them over the edge. I got Fairfax winning this thing on a last-second field goal, 23-20 over South County.
Second. All right.
All right. Yeah. So, wow, this one's going to be a good one. I think if people can get there to see it. Although it's going to be a good one, Fairfax, I think, is going to, in the end, come out victorious just because of what they have put together. And Chris transferred in from where? Do we remember? Mountain View. Yeah. And it was a pretty big deal for that transfer. So I like him there. I also like Coach Pannoni back at South County. He's put together, of course, we know 2019, 15-0. What can you say? Great coaching, great players at that time. And I think he can put some good things together. But this Fairfax team, I think, is going to be a little too strong. And I'm going to go 20-6 Fairfax.
Okay. All right. I'll jump in there. I usually go with my former quarterback, Jordan Dennis, for South County, but I'm going to try to do the reverse trick thing, and I'm going to pick Fairfax, okay, to win this, and then Jordan will get the win. But no, for real, Fairfax is really, really, really good. I mean, I've said this, I think Fairfax is the class of Fairfax County, and those the region C and D, and I think the Class 6 state champion could come out of Fairfax County this year. Now, freedom beware. I'm telling you.
Oh my goodness!
I think a team from Fairfax, whether it's Westfield, Fairfax, South County, I think the state champion can come from Fairfax County. And Fairfax, if they can stay healthy, I think could be that team. All that being said, I think it'll be close, but I do have Fairfax winning 33-27. But if these teams meet again in the playoffs, you never know.
All right.
Let me say this. The Fairfax County team will not win the state championship, Russ. That won't happen. This game right here, yeah, I like Jordan Dennis. He's good, but Fairfax is just too strong. I would say Fairfax 33, South County 6.
Jay, Coach Pannoni is back, and that is a big deal. I know a lot of kind of inside stuff about at that program, and you can't. Just give him 10 games, 11 games, 12 games, and we'll see. All right.
What happened at QO with South County? That'll be Freedom versus County in the state championship.
Okay. All right.
You heard it right here.
Okay. So
South
next
County,
year,
Lord,
Freedom scratch the DeMatha game and get QO on the schedule. All right,
yeah,
let's go.
That'd be a good one.
Yeah, that would be.
Yeah.
All right, let's go.
I didn't pick.
All y'all gonna be upset when Stonebridge beat QO. All right, watch that. All right, let's go.
So, Coach Trey Taylor and Fairfax, they're going to have a chip on their shoulder. They feel like they never get the respect that they deserve. I know he said that last year. This game is
because they didn't deserve it before last year.
About last year. So this game is at Fairfax. That's going to be a rocking environment. That's one of the oldest schools in Fairfax County and Fairfax City. I think it's going to be a statement game. Chris Jones, Georgia commit, the other Chris linebacker from Salem committed to Georgia this week. I think Fairfax is going to make a statement, and it's going to be 41-14 over South County.
I can see that.
All right.
And what I meant by that, Coach, Fairfax traditionally has not been strong since Brandon Royster played there 20 years ago and then went off to Stanford. It's just tough. It's been tough for them having to play in the Concord District all those years. No disrespect, but of course, they've been overlooked for a reason. All right, next, Fleming, Patrick Henry.
Yep, that's a big rivalry in Roanoke. So our buddy Matt Case, who writes for the Roanoke Times, gave me a great overview. You want to make sure and follow Matt. He's a friend of the show, and all you folks down at in Roanoke, he's going to be at that game. These are two very good teams. William Fleming is going to be playing at Patrick Henry. William Fleming has a new coach. He came from Cave Spring, and Cave Spring upset Patrick Henry last year. Patrick Henry has great players. They're headlined by a Notre Dame commit at linebacker. Either team can win this game. I just feel like with it being at Patrick Henry, I think that's going to be the difference. And I like Patrick Henry to win this one 24-7. All right. Monet?
I'm going to go, very close to you with that, Kirk. I like that synopsis. Let's roll with that. Patrick Henry, 28, Fleming, 7.
All right. Jason?
Yeah, both of these Roanoke schools have made some noise in the Class 5 playoffs recently. Fleming made the state semis back during the COVID spring season, and then Patrick Henry, the last couple of years, have made the regional semis. You're right, Kirk. They've their linebacker crew is phenomenal. They've got, I think, maybe the best pair of on-the-ball linebackers out there. Bodie Calhoun, your Notre Dame commit you were just referencing there, and another senior named Troy Brown, who had 140-plus tackles last year. So those two kids get to the ball really quickly, and I think they've got way too much firepower for William Fleming. I've got this game pretty big for Patrick Henry. And Kirk, you mentioned it earlier. These guys might be the sleeper, and one of the sleepers in Class 5. So they're going to be a tough out. I've got Patrick Henry 44, Fleming 14.
Jay Golson. Jay going to sell any houses in Roanoke?
No. So I'm going to go with the home team. I'm going to say Patrick Henry 36, Fleming 7.
Okay. That's cool.
That's
Yeah,
fair.
just so it's clear, I on my sheet that I submitted, it looks like I put Fleming to win, but and then below I put Patrick. I'm actually picking Patrick Henry to win 24-14.
Okay. All right. So we've unanimously picked Patrick Henry. This is a game William Fleming can pick. And before we move on to the next game, I just want to say this. With a 6-4 record, people in Ashburn might want to think about Patrick Henry, because I could see William Fleming came to Stonebridge last year. I could see the Stonebridge kids having to go down to Patrick Henry, and that's going to be a tough out. And by the way, Patrick Henry, I don't know if you want to play Stonebridge when they've gone 6-4 and they're going to be on a roll. So another game that we talked about, and I got all kinds of input on this one because of our ties down to Hampton Roads. That is Oscar Smith at Nansemond River. I'll do this one. Randy Pearson gave me some feedback. Anthony Jones gave me some feedback. Matt Hatfield gave me feedback on this one. So these are two very good teams. All right, Nansemond River has been overlooked in 5. Nobody's talking about them. They could be a formidable game for some of these big boys like Morey, Green Run. Oscar Smith, the impressive thing about Oscar Smith, they held an unbelievable Phoebus team to 16 points. And there were a lot of turnovers in that game. Oscar Smith is young. They've got a lot of speed, a lot of athletic ability. They've got a corner, I believe, or defensive back with a Michigan offer. They're platooning, as we said on the Oscar Smith Phoebus preview show that we did, if you want to check that out. They're platooning quarterbacks, but Anthony tells me they're going to really kick that in, and he thinks that one of the quarterbacks is going to move to slot receiver. Having said that, I think Oscar Smith is just too much for this Nansemond River team. I like Oscar Smith 29-6. And Monet?
All right. So yeah, Oscar Smith, Coach Scott out there. Been following him for a long time. When he was Oscar Smith, left there, went private. Had a little controversy going on that he scooted out of. And I think he was, I like him. I think he's a good guy, and he's competitive. And what he wanted to do was to be able to bring guys together, a lot of talent together, and do things his way. So that was his reason for leaving and going private. He did that for some years and then returned back to the public school sector where he's been doing his thing. And again, I think because of his competitiveness, he's going to always be able to coach up his guys and come out with that win. And he keeps a good group down there. I swear those 757 guys are just, I think they're studs when they're born. But he keeps a good crew at Oscar Smith. And I'm going to go, not as familiar with Nansemond, but I see that they are a very good team as well. Currently 2-0.
Yep.
And I'm going to go Oscar Smith, 28-20.
I like that. Rusty Bird and I definitely were studs when we were born. The lumber company came to pick us up. So, Jason Sterling.
Yeah, I don't think that was a true statement, but maybe Rusty, not you, Kirk.
I was going to say Home Depot.
See that, Monet? That's Bethel High School right there. That's my Bethel High School helmet and jersey.
Uh-oh, Bethel.
Well, speaking of Bethel, that's one of the wins that Nansemond River has this year. They beat Bethel.
I know.
Beat Bethel and they beat Deep Creek. Oscar Smith's got wins over Hermitage and Great Bridge. Yeah, but the only loss, Kirk mentioned it, coming to Phoebus. And there's no shame in losing to Phoebus. A lot of teams are going to take an L to Phoebus this year. Maybe all of them they play, frankly. The thing that concerns me a little bit about Oscar Smith, they tend to have a lot of penalties in these games. If they can limit that, I think they probably will this week. I've got a hunch they're going to be cutting down on some of these penalties. I think they'll be okay, but something you need to watch out for long term with Oscar Smith. But I think they limit those penalties. They pull this one out 27-16 over Nansemond River.
Okay. People down in Chesapeake, Oscar Smith, they know Jay Golson.
I'm going to say this about Oscar Smith. They have serious quarterback issues. So they're not going to win. They're going to lose to Nansemond River. I would say Nansemond River 23, Oscar Smith 7. Quarterbacks. They have no quarterback at Oscar Smith. You need one quarterback to lead your team. They have too many quarterbacks.
Yeah, but now they had a great quarterback 2 years ago when they won the state championship. He went off to play at Kansas and then transferred back to ODU. But even with that, I thought if he never threw the ball, that offensive line could carry Oscar Smith. Now, the line is not as dominant as it was 2 years ago, but I don't think it's as bad as it was last year. Okay. And bad is relative when you're talking about Oscar Smith. And so the quarterback situation, I don't think will be a factor if they can just buckle down and control the line of scrimmage. They don't have to throw the ball. I think Nansemond River is a good team, but I think if you look at their victories, they beat a rebuilding Bethel team, and so that and we're just not ready, and we're not there yet. So I think it can be a little misleading. Not saying Nansemond was not good, but I don't think they're going to have enough for Oscar Smith. I think Oscar Smith is going to be on a mission to get back to states.
All right.
And so with that being said, I do pick Oscar Smith to win by a score of 38-24.
All right, Oscar Smith, the great Kenny Easley, Jay Golson, who really fired you guys up saying Battlefield was going to beat you a couple years ago, has you losing to Nansemond River. All right, then the next game is another unbelievable game, man. We've had just 4 weeks in a row. We've had some marquee games. Last week, Maury beating Highland Springs. And we've got a Dinwiddie alum, Mr. Jason Sterling, who's going to give us the overview of this one.
Yeah, listen, guys, you've got, I think everybody circled this game early on too. When you're looking at those games, you got one of the top programs in Class 4 in Dinwiddie versus, I think, arguably the top, maybe not even arguably anymore, the top program in Class 5 in Maury. Maury's coming off that monster victory over Highland Springs. A good game, but their talent was on full display in that game, and I think they put everybody in Class 5 on notice this past Friday. So Dinwiddie, led by Harry Dalton, Mr. Everything. He's a tough out. He's going to be hard to stop. I just think Dinwiddie playing at home will be difficult. They've blown out their 2 opponents since that opening week 0 loss in Ohio to a very good Glenville team, very, very good Glenville team.
Yep.
But Maury, guys, if you can find me a team that's got more talent in the state than Maury, you go ahead and speak up, because I'm not sure you're going to find it.
Yeah.
I've got Maury pulling this one out. I do think these teams trade punches throughout the game, though. Do not sleep on Dinwiddie. They're a state champion for a reason. So they will counterpunch when Maury punches. I just think Maury's got just a little too much talent for almost anybody right now, and I've got him winning 28-20.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Monet.
Yeah, so it's been some shakeups the last couple of weeks. It really has. Things that we thought were going to go one way have gone another. And I think this is going to be one of those games. Historically, Dinwiddie's always kept a great team down there in the sticks of Virginia. And I think, they went to Ohio, and it never surprises me when our teams go and play these powers out of state and lose. It doesn't surprise me at all, because these teams out of state, sometimes they work differently than we do in Virginia. And you see it in Georgia and Texas and California. So that really, not that it doesn't count to me, but I almost expect it sometimes with our teams, as good as they are here. They go away and they struggle. Dinwiddie crushed their opponents here. Look, crushed. So with that said, and then looking at Maury beat a Wise out of the 4A in Maryland, who we know historically Wise has been a power out in there for a division. Over the last couple of years, they've had some struggles, losing players and kind of rebuilding as well. But I think also with that Highland Springs shakeup last week, Maury has said, hey, look at us. This is who we are, and we're coming for that state championship. But I think that Dinwiddie team is going to do it this week, guys. 32-28 Dinwiddie.
Wow. I would not be surprised. I think that's a good call. Dinwiddie is a really strong program. They've shown that, and they aren't going to be frightened or worried one bit. They don't care that Maury beat Highland Springs. That's not going to be a problem for them. I think, it will be a close game, but from everything I've heard about Maury in terms of that talent, they are just off the chart with skilled players and linemen and return athletes. So I'm going to go with Maury. Maury, to me, when Maury kind of, I think, is out to prove something after making the state final the last couple of years and not coming out there with a victory. I have a nephew who will be playing there, but I'm going to just go with Maury 24-21, but if clearly I wouldn't be surprised if Dinwiddie won. But I think Maury is one of those things with the confidence. I think they are on a roll. You beat Wise, you beat Highland Springs. Like they're going to just keep rolling, I think, right now.
All right. Jay Gold.
Let me say this. There will be a letdown by Maury in the first half. saying that they're going to win this game. It'll be close. It's going to be a dogfight. I'm going to say 22-16 Maury. But remember, in the first half, there will be a letdown from last week.
Because of the bus ride. Jay, you haven't mentioned the bus ride all day, all night. I mean, you didn't. That is a key part of your analysis, especially in that South County Fairfax game. All right.
Let me pick that game. I like Maury. I think that Dinwiddie is going to have a showcase to say, hey, we may have lost to Glenville, but we can play. And I also believe that that is a very tough place to play. If any team could beat Freedom, it's got to be Maury. I think Maury's just going to be too much. I like at 28-17, great game, and Dinwiddie, and that'll be a happy bus ride back for Coach McCain. All right, so James Wood at Kettle Run. I know Rusty and Jay, you guys both know a lot about this game. Why don't you go ahead, Jay, and tell us about that?
Well, James Wood has a losing record, and I know they lost to Brentsville, and Kettle Run is undefeated and very good. So, saying that, I'm going to bet Jason's Beach House in Dewey Beach, and go with Kettle Run 26-7. It won't be close.
Yeah, just read a little bit up on both teams, and I have to agree with Jay and kind of piggyback in his prediction here. I am going to go 24-14 Kettle Run.
Okay. All right, Jason.
Yeah, first of all, Jay, it's more of an outhouse than Dewey Beach, beach house. But if anybody could sell it for me, it'd be you. So I want to call on you when I need to move that thing. James Wood's a sneaky good team here, but they did lose pretty handily to Brentsville. Kettle Run looks like they picked up where they left off. They made that run all the way last year and to the title game. I think there's a little too much talent on Kettle Run. It's going to make it hard for James Wood to hang in this one. I got Kettle Run 40, James Wood 14.
Ooh.
Okay. I think Jay said James Wood has a losing record. They're actually 2-1.
Oh,
and yeah, no, that's cool. And but they haven't scored as many points as Kettle Run. Kettle Run has only played 2 games and has scored 91 points.
Woo!
And James Wood has played 3 games and only scored 62, and they've given up 64. So the simple math for me says Kettle Run is going to take this game. And my prediction was that Kettle Run would win 31-20.
All right. It's a great game. I think that Kettle Run lost a great Jordan Tapscott, but they've got something going on out there. And I like Kettle Run to win this when they're at home. It's a tough place to play. Rusty and I have both been there together. I like Kettle Run 37-17. I will throw in this nugget. Don't sleep on John Champ. I know they lost the first week, but they won handily last week. And in that 4 region, they're going to be tough. So our last game, and then we're going to get a player of the week, is Glen Allen at Thomas Dale. Jason, can you give us an overview of that one?
Yeah, sure, Kirk. Another battle of 2 undefeated teams right now. You've got Dale coming in at 2-0, Glen Allen at 3-0. Dale's got a 4-year starter at quarterback, Ethan Minter. He's going to UVA. And they've got 2 speedsters on the outside, Nick Tyree and Jacob Seaborn. I think in the 100, one of them was clocked at 10.7, the other at 10.6. So those dudes can fly. They've got great depth on defense. Maybe the linebacker position is an area of weakness for Dale, but Glen Allen's won a couple close games too, guys. They seem to be able to pull some games out, but I think they beat Massaponax and the other Patrick Henry out of Ashland. But they're sound defensively too. I just think Thomas Dale's going to be a step faster in this game, and they'll put Glen Allen away in the second half. I think it'll be close going into the halftime, and then I got them pulling away, winning this one 31-10. So Thomas Dale 31, Glen Allen 10.
Okay.
All right. Jason was pretty gracious with the points for Glen Allen, looking at Thomas Dale not letting the last couple opponents on the board at all.
Right.
So pretty stout defense out there. So I am going with Thomas Dale 28. I will let Glen Allen on the board because I think they can get on the board 7.
All right.
Let me say this. Hit this here. I'm picking the home team, Thomas Dale. I'm going to say Thomas Dale 26, Glen Allen 0.
Ooh. Those boys in Henrico are going to hear that. Okay. Glen Allen. Rusty Bird.
All right. So I am some very simple analysis. Basically, Thomas Dale's going to win this. And the reason is because my cousin was on the coaching staff and his son played there for 4 years. Sam Young
pick Glen Allen
Jr. and Trey, his son, was a really good player. And Sam led the youth football program that fed kids into Thomas Dale. He was president of the organization for years. I think it's called Wells down there. But I think based on some of the other analysis, I'd have to say is that Thomas Dale is 2-0. Glen Allen is 3-0. But when we again doing that math, Glen Allen has scored 49 points all year in 3 games, and Thomas Dale has outscored his opponents 52-0 in 2 games. That's simple math. You got to go with Dale. And I'd like Dale to win. Monet copied off my paper for the record, y'all. That's why I should go first, because she copied. I say it 28-10. She said 28-7. So she just tried to throw in, like I'm not going. You know how when you did cheat in school, you might get one difference so the teacher can't think.
Yeah. That's what you're doing. That's what you're doing.
Yeah. See, I know I went second, so now, oh man.
Yeah. Okay. I didn't exactly copy her.
Right. All right, so that's it. Is that everybody gone?
I got to pick a winner.
Go ahead.
Yeah, Thomas Dale's a team that nobody's talking in that region. It's got Richmond as well as Hampton Roads. And they've been impressive so far. They've got a number of prospects. And that game is at Thomas Dale in Chester. I like Ken Oxendine's Thomas Dale team to go up 32-7 over Glen Allen. Big out to Glen Allen. Nobody here is picking you, so it's a great chance to show yourself.
Prove us wrong.
I'll say this about Dale as well. Like Dale has Thomas Dale's 2-0, but they have a tough schedule. They're going to play Dinwiddie. They're Class 6, so a lot of teams in their conference aren't Class 6, but they still will be playing Hopewell, Matoka, and all. But the thing is, Thomas Dale will probably meet up with Manchester or Highland Springs in the playoffs, and that's that. We don't sleep on Thomas Dale, but those are 3 programs that are Class 6 that Oscar Smith and a few of those Class 6 teams down in 757 really got to be worried about. All right. So look, I want to thank our panel for joining us. We have one last thing we want to do, and I'm glad. I'm sure everybody that started with us, our viewers, stay with us to get this. We've got the Kirk and Bird Show Player of the Week, sponsored by Remax and Jay Golson. So Jay, why don't you tell people where they can find you at Remax, and also who the Player of the Week is? This will be your 3rd selection. Am I correct?
Correct. Yeah, you can find me at area code 703-517-8640. The Player of the Week was a tough one.
Whoa. Let me just say, why do I feel like it's going to be another Freedom player? But go ahead. And I don't know. Go.
I can. That game didn't count.
Okay, cool. Okay,
yeah,
go ahead.
That game didn't count. So I'm going with Battlefields, Cam Binkowski, who had 3 sacks, 2 touchdowns, got up at 4:00 in the morning, drove to West Point for a recruiting visit the next day.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Good job. Excellent selection. All right. So, Jay, why don't you tell him what he's going to be receiving?
$50 to go towards a charity that he wants to choose. So that's where it's going to go, to a charity that he picks.
All right, cool. I have a great charity. It's called Bird Foundation. They do a lot of great work in the community. Yeah, no, but that's great. So look, again, thank you all for joining us. We'll quickly go around. If there's anything you want to promote or you want to say, we'll start with our first timer, but I'm sure she will join us many times in the future. Lady broadcaster Monet.
The legend.
Of course. Thank you. I hope I am invited back and that I am the winner next week. But otherwise, I'm just going to keep doing what I do, and I hope everyone follows me. My biggest goal is to promote these athletes and provide positive exposure, especially for some of these public schools who get no exposure. So that's my main goal each and every week. Otherwise, follow me, IG, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and Snapchat, kind of, sort of. But I hope to see you all again very, very soon.
Follow her because she knows what she's talking about. Guys from the 757 are born studs.
There you go. There you go. Especially the football players.
Yeah, and I thought you were getting ready to talk about my knowledge, Kurt.
That is knowledge.
That's knowledge.
That's PhD stuff right there.
Too funny.
All right, Jason.
Yeah, it's great to have Monet on, and I promise you, she will beat you, Rusty, because it's not that hard. So. Listen, hope the weather holds out, guys. That was sort of a rough weekend, high school, college, everybody. So I think we got some decent weather heading our way. We'll be putting on coats and gloves here before we know it. So get out to these games.
Good. Yeah. And so, Kirk?
I was just going to say that for the Player of the Week, we really appreciate Jay sponsoring this. And if you want to nominate a player for Jay to consider, just message us. We got all kinds of platforms. You guys can get a hold of us: Facebook, social media. We have a website, thekirkandbirdshow.com. And make sure you message us about Player of the Week, and please follow us and subscribe.
All right. Well, look, thanks again for joining us.